All right. I would request our secretary, sir. We'll begin by felicitating Honorable Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Sri Sarvananda Sonwalji. And I would also request to felicitate our Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Sri Kongrat K. Sangma. Thank you, sir. So now we're discussing about unlocking capital for Northeast infrastructure, a very important topic. And to moderate the session, I would request Sri Soumya Chattopadhyay, ADB, India, to kindly come forward and begin with the session.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Minister and Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya and distinguished panel members, and also Honorable Secretary, MDONER, and other distinguished members in the audience. This is a great opportunity to address this August gathering. And today will be discussing a very important subject, that how to unlock capital for the Northeastern region. Now, as you know that, Northeastern region, I don't have to give any introduction of the Northeastern region, but just to set the context that it is 9% of India's geographical area and 4% of the population. However, it contributes only 2.8% to India's GDP. So while the region's share in the Indian economy is low, but Northeastern region has great potential based on its natural resources, and also the strength of the human resources that Northeast can really climb up to the ladder. But for that, the main challenges that we see, that there are several challenges, but the main first and foremost is the remoteness or the connectivity. So I am representing ADB, the Asian Development Bank. We conducted one study on the development of Northeast Economic Corridor in 2019-2020, and based on that we found that there are mainly 5 areas where Northeastern region can make progress, provided we make timely intervention and also good intervention both from the government as well as from the private sector. And today we have this distinguished panels with us who will be taking us through to all these areas. But I will briefly mention these 5 areas where we can have this focus, and then we'll listen from our distinguished panelists. So first is, of course, the development of the multimodal transport networks at 3 levels, that is within Northeast, Northeast to rest of India connectivity, and Northeast to the connectivity to the neighboring countries. So as you know that Northeast shares a vast border with many of the countries in the South Asia and Southeast Asia. And that connectivity also brings or addresses this removal of remoteness in the Northeast. Second is, of course, the economic upliftment of the Northeastern states and the region through the development of the economic centers, what we call the growth centers. So growth centers are basically the commercial centers or the economic centers where more economic activities are there, and also the border centers. So the border centers are very, very important in the Northeast, because not only for the cross-border connectivity and cross-border trade, but also to leverage the production network of the Northeast by connecting them to the neighboring areas. Third is, of course, the agriculture and food processing areas, where the production networks need to be developed, and those production networks need to be connected to the nearest border gateways or the trade hubs and the trade gateways. And also some of the Northeastern states, they have good potential in mining and the minerals, how to harness those products and then bring them to the market, giving them better connectivity to the market. I give you one example. Say that for the state of Meghalaya, since Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya is here, that Meghalaya shares the maximum number of border points with its neighboring country, Bangladesh. However, if you see the connectivity between Meghalaya and Bangladesh, and lot of mining materials and building materials that are moving from Meghalaya to Bangladesh. There is in fact one conveyor belt, 17-kilometer long conveyor belt between Meghalaya and Bangladesh, which is the second largest conveyor belt in the world, and which is declared as a customs declared conveyor belt for the connectivity between Meghalaya and Bangladesh, through which the dolomite is transported from Meghalaya to the Lafarge cement factory in Sunamganj in Bangladesh. So this is a very good example of how the regional value chain can be developed through the mining potential of the country. But if you see the connectivity between other border points in Meghalaya to Bangladesh, apart from Dauki Tamabil, since the ICP has been developed there, but if you see like Bagmara, Barsora and other border points, there the connectivity is very poor, although they are responsible for the export of huge building materials and dolomites to Bangladesh. So how to really make them viable? Same is the case for other northeastern states. Fourth is of course the international trade. As I already mentioned that the importance of the border points in the northeastern region. But border points, there are two aspects: at the border point infrastructure and behind the border point infrastructure. At the border point infrastructure, of course, the Land Port Authority of India, they are at the forefront to upgrade some of the land customs stations to the ICP or integrated checkpost. But when you talk about the behind the border infrastructure, that is facilitating connectivity, developing the urban amenities, facilitation, then also the water and sanitation issues. So these things need to be addressed at the right earnest along with the development at the border points. And fifth and the last point, that along with the deliberations of this infrastructure development, how to improve the policy regulatory regime, not only within the Northeast, although there are some overarching policies of Government of India. Say for example, the Unnati is there in the industry sector for the entire Northeast. But apart from that, there are several bilateral and multilateral protocols and agreements which are not properly implemented or which are not in force or operationalized in its right earnest. So how to make them functional, how to make them viable, and thereby ensuring this kind of a better cross-border connectivity from the Northeast to the neighboring countries. And Northeast importance, goes up again if you see that what is also happening in some of the areas across the border. I give you one example, that recently Bhutan has started developing this mindfulness city at Gelefu. And that is one of the most ambitious project in Bhutan, which is led by their Honorable King. And that project, if you see across the border in Assam, a place called Hatisar, the border point, there still the infrastructure development is very rudimentary. Although railway connectivity is coming from Kokrajhar to Gelefu, but moving forward, we'll have to think of that better urban amenities, better facilitation, better service delivery mechanism to ensure that how we can also match up to the development across the border. So these are some of the points that I would like to I highlighted here, just to make this discussion more lively and pose it as some kind of teasers to our distinguished panel members. So now, after this, first I would like to invite Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Mr. Conrad K. Sangma, to deliver his address. Sir, over to you.
First question is, how many minutes do we have?
Here, as per the program, is 8 minutes.
8 minutes to a politician is really unfair. Uh, our respected Minister for Ports, Waterways and Shipping, and my elder brother, Shri Sonwal Saab, all the other panelists who are present out here, and all my dear friends. A lot has to be spoken about, so I really have not much to say because the time is so short. I'll try to be very brief. First of all, I think it's very clear that the Northeast today is growing much faster economically than the other parts of the country. And there are multiple reasons for that. The first point and the reason is because historically, the Northeast has not developed as fast as the rest of the country. And hence, the potential, or as we call the delta, the potential to grow is much higher in the Northeast. It's like how India is placed when it comes to the rest of the world. So today you see the economic growth in Japan is at 0%. It's not that Japan is backward, but they have achieved that certain economic level, which others will take time. And therefore, India is moving in that direction, and therefore the growth of India relative to European nations and Japan is much more. Similarly, for the country, the growth in the Northeast, for example, my own state is at 17%, at 13%, I'm sorry, compared to the rest of the country, which is hovering around 6 to 7%. So my point being that it's a natural process for this kind of economic growth to take place, and the time for Northeast is now. So like we're seeing, India is moving, and the time is now for India, and maybe a decade later, 2 decades later, the focus will shift to the continent of Africa, which already is moving, but the kind of investments will start moving in that direction. So the timing is very important when we look at the overall economic scenario, and the time for Northeast is the correct time because of the kind of potential that is there and the kind of focus that Government of India and the state governments and of course all the agencies involved today are working. I must take this opportunity to really congratulate our Secretary, Donor, and obviously our Minister and the entire Government of India machinery, because I strongly feel that this particular program that was organized is really been great, not because of the size of the program and the space and the location, but I think the people that they brought into this, the way they connected the different important stakeholders is, I think, what makes this program very different from any other program. Having said that, I think the capital required for infrastructure development for Northeast is definitely one of the key areas of focus and of this particular session. And as correctly put in by our moderator, that whether it's the road connectivity opportunities, whether it's the overall growth centers, whether it's the agro-logistics processing, networking, the infrastructure behind the scenes, and the overall policy regime, I think he has covered most of the areas which really need to be brought in. I would like to focus on one very important, or rather two very important aspects. One is the road connectivity, and the second is the overall agro-processing logistics network that he mentioned. And today, if you look at the investments that are being made in road connectivity, I think is unprecedented. And the kind of growth that is taking place in terms of the investment in road sector also is unprecedented. And really, very innovatively, from Government of India's perspective, whether it is the funds from the Government of India itself that is coming in, whether the state governments themselves are funding it, and through central schemes again, or their own state schemes, or whether the funds are coming in from external agencies like JICA. I think these are great opportunities. Today for us, even in the state of Meghalaya, JICA is playing a very, very, very crucial role. Whether it's large infrastructure development in terms of roads, the longest bridge in India, which will be completed by 2028. JICA has a very important role to play. And therefore, in these kind of infrastructural investments, the government of India and the externally aided agencies like JICA, KFW, ADB, World Bank, NDP, KFW, all these agencies will have to, oh wow, I've been given promotion. I'm told I can speak for 15 minutes. Then I'll start speaking slowly then. So the investments in the road sector, as I said, have been something that have been unprecedented, and really the central government and agencies like JICA will have to take a major step forward in this. Like other parts of the country where the private sector is coming in and investments are being made by private sector in road, Northeast is not yet at that level where we'll be able to do it. And hence, the capital for road infrastructure development must be central government based or by external agencies like JICA, and which is what is happening today in the Northeast part of the country. But I personally see a huge opportunity when it comes to the sectors like the agro-logistics sector. Again, an infrastructure issue. I'll give a small story about this. And this is about flowers. And I was speaking to one wedding organizer. And I was asking him, where does he get his flowers from? And his reply was, he gets it from Thailand and from Southeast Asia. So immediately I asked him the question, why do you get it from Thailand? Why not from Northeast? Why not from Mizoram or Nagaland or Meghalaya? And his answer was very simple. He said that if the wedding is on 19th of September, I want the flowers on 18th of September at 9 p.m. Not an hour before, not an hour later. And by the time the Northeast sends the flowers, because the car broke down, because the flight was cancelled, because whatever reason, the flowers cannot reach. I cannot take that risk, is what he told me. Now, what I'm trying to say is, there is an opportunity for a strong logistics network and system to come in. And in this kind of an infrastructural development, private sector can play a very, very crucial role, and it should. And there is money to be made in this. And therefore, when it comes to the agro-processing logistics network, I really would like to urge and see that the private sector play a key role. Today, Government of India has developed many airports. Our Honorable Minister today is developing many ports. But all of this needs to be connected with the other, the ecosystem, where the logistics hubs, the cold chain storage systems, and different kind of testing facilities, all of these are required to be made. And therefore, so all this can be an opportunity for investment from the private sector. And as I said, the capital required for logistics infrastructure can easily come from the private sector, in terms of the different entrepreneurs and businesses. Another sector I would like to touch on is definitely the policy and regime. Sir, I'd like to share with you, I don't have the exact breakup with me, but a simple example. Today, or rather an example of one incident. So there was an incident, sir, where the BSF had shot one person smuggling something to Bangladesh. This is about 2 years back, and became a big story. So later on, we asked that what was this guy smuggling that the BSF had to shoot him. Of course, luckily he didn't die. And we found out that he was smuggling sari. So sari, malab apna sari. And I was surprised. I said, why shouldn't our sari be allowed to be exported to Bangladesh? I mean, what is so bad about sari? So my point being that there has to be a relook into the entire aspect of the kind of products. The negative list, as we call it, has to be reviewed from time to time. And there are many such products which actually are good for us to be exported, But because of the policy details that are not there, we are not able to export them. So another point here again I would like to share also is that, so we have the ICPs, we have the border huts, and then we have the third is, what is it called? ICPs, border huts, and LCS, the LCS. So all these three are export points. But then one is run by the Home Ministry, one is run by the Finance Ministry, and one is run by the Commerce Ministry. How do we coordinate? So, I mean, a farmer doesn't know that, he's going to go through this spot, and Home Ministry is handling it. He's least bothered. So there has to be, again, relook into this. There should be one ministry that should handle all these three export points. There are some export points which we have where the machines are there, equipments are there. I just spoke to one guy, sir, and they mentioned to me that they want to send certain agriculture products, but the human resource or the manpower or the scientist who's supposed to be there to be able to test and certify the products that he's sending was never appointed. And hence the products were never sent abroad, or at least exported to the neighboring nations. Point being, sir, that these simple issues like these create a big problem for our people. We have the basic system and the infrastructure, but it is the matter of details which we need to now kind of smoothen out. And I think that's where things are happening. Our moderator also had mentioned about this policy regime and this entire look into this aspect. So I totally agree. We need to really look into this aspect also. Sir, again, as I said, this is a very, very large topic, and I really would like to speak at length about it. But because of the, as I said, the time limit that we have, and also because the subject is so vast, I'm not be able to touch on all the aspects. But before I sit down, I just want to talk about the last point which was mentioned again by our moderator, was regarding the different infrastructures for export of products to the neighboring nations, sir. Again, as I said, road infrastructure, the capital for that I've mentioned has to be government-based or agency-based. But from the other infrastructures that are there, sir, there is a huge scope for private sector to come in. And the conveyor belt is one very, very good example. I have been advocating this for the last 7 years. For the last 7 years, sir. So today, Meghalaya exports limestone, exports coal, exports aggregates, all to Bangladesh. Of course, situation in Bangladesh is different right now. But minusing that, we are doing a lot of business in terms of all these aspects. And transport and the road connectivity is a major issue for us. So I have been pushing many of the entrepreneurs, business people, to invest in these conveyor belts, because that is a business in itself. Bangladesh today, or at least at that point in time when we were discussing this, was making large highways, again funded I think through ADB only. I remember meeting the ADB individuals and officials in Bangladesh and Dhaka in 2019 when I had gone. And they were explaining to me the entire master plan that Bangladesh has. And it was really, really amazing, sir. And therefore, we realized that they require a lot of construction material. And Meghalaya is the closest place for them to get aggregate and all the other construction materials like limestone, cement, and all these aspects. And the transportation of that can easily be done through the conveyor belts. So therefore, in this also, sir, there's a huge possibility of investment opportunity for the private sector to come in. And this could become, as I said, a great blessing for the people, especially in my state. And it could be, again, as I said, a great form of trade, which would, again, help the state, the private sector, as well as the people also of my state. And that's those areas need to be looked into. So therefore, sir, I think I have a lot to say. But as I said, we can interact. I think interaction will be good. Questions will be good. We would like to see what you want to listen to, what you want to get answers to. And I'll be happy to respond to the queries that our individual participants may have. And once again, sir, I thank the Government of India through you and through our Secretary for organizing this wonderful program, where, as I said, we have been really able to bring in people who actually matter to be able to really take this forward. And as Prime Minister had mentioned, it's not an event. You know, this is a complete process, a journey that started 10 years back, 11 years back, and today we have reached to this level where things are moving, and which nobody ever expected, that we would be sitting here one day like this, talking about what we have achieved in the past and what opportunities we can see at the horizon and the kind of things that can happen in the coming days. Northeast, sir, is a very young part of the country. We are even younger than the rest of India. And therefore, there's a huge opportunity when it comes out in terms of even manpower, entrepreneurship, skill development, music, sports. And we are very excited to see the kind of growth that will take place in the days to come. So with these few words, once again, congratulating you, sir, and the entire Government of India and the Donor Ministry for this wonderful program, and thanking all the participants who have come here to be part of this particular session, as well as this particular program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Minister, sir. Now I would like to invite Honorable Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways to address this August gathering. Before that, I would just like to give you a cue, because he was also the ex-Chief Minister of Assam, and when he was the former Chief Minister, when he was the Chief Minister of Assam, from ADB we did a Assam Vision document, and that was titled as Assam as the Gateway to ASEAN. So I think you will be addressing the importance of the Northeast to the connectivity to the nearest market in the ASEAN and also rest of South Asia, and we'll address those points. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar. Today, in this particular very meaningful event, Rising Northeast Investor Summit 2025, we have been given a topic, unlocking capital for Northeast infrastructure. So this session, now attended by the respected Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Karnat Sangmaji, and Secretary जी और हमारे मंच पे उपस्थित excuse me, who are they? Suttopadhyay ji and Baldev ji, Takushi ji और अभिजीत बरुआ जी, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको इस अवसर पर उपस्थित होने के नाते हृदय से शुभकामना देता हूं। हमारी सफ़र जो हम इसको विकास यात्रा मानते हैं, तो परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की विशेष सोच और उनकी कदम और उनकी सहयोग के वजह से आज देश के अंदर नॉर्थ ईस्ट जाग उठा है। आज से 11 साल पहले नॉर्थ ईस्ट की जो पहचान थे देश के अंदर बहुत खराब हुआ करते थे। नॉर्थ ईस्ट का मतलब थे कि एजिटेशन है, ब्लॉकेट है, कहीं ना कहीं अशांति का माहौल थे, और आप शांति का माहौल बने। विदाउट पीस एंड ट्रैंक्विलिटी ग्रोथ कैनॉट बी एक्सपेक्टेड। नथिंग कैन हैपन नॉर्मली and people cannot put their best possible effort through dedicated hard work and other initiative. And that is why, to bring back peace and tranquility in the region, whatever initiative under the dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Ministers have been taken up, it has proved to be fruitful, productive, meaningful, and which has inspired all the Northeasterners, including me. I am a Northeasterner. I feel proud to be a Northeasterner. Kana too. So, we are all getting inspiration, motivation, energy, spirit to work hard for the Northeast, for the country. And I believe विकसित भारत के लिए ये सही यात्रा है, और इस यात्रा का मात्रा कैसा होना चाहिए, इसके लिए परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें इस विशेष रूप से मंत्र भी दिया है और इनके लिए नीति भी अपनाया है। और कहा गया, स्पीड एंड स्केल को अगर आप बरकरार रखेंगे अपनी कर्मभूमि पर, निश्चित रूप से अगले दिनों में अपना शक्ति दिखाने में आप सफलता प्राप्त करेंगे। तो आज हम सब ये जानते हैं, यातायात व्यवस्था अगर सही नहीं हुई तो क्षमता होते हुए भी, काबिलियत होते हुए भी कोई व्यक्ति काम करने के लिए उनको वो प्रोत्साहित नहीं होते। तो इसके लिए परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पहला कदम उठाया आज से 11 साल पहले कि कनेक्टिविटी एंड कम्युनिकेशन, विदाउट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन देयर कैनॉट बी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन। इसके आधारित जो भी कार्यक्रम रचना की गई है और इस कार्यक्रम को सही समय पर निष्ठापूर्वक लागू की गई है, और इसके लिए हर केंद्रीय मंत्री को उन्होंने निर्देश जारी किया। आई वॉज ऑल्सो Union Minister during the time 14-16, Union Minister for Sports and Youth Affairs and Skill Development. So that time we have received this direction from Honorable Prime Minister कि आप लोगों को नॉर्थ ईस्ट जाना है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जाकर लोगों से बातचीत करना है, और लोगों का अपेक्षा क्या है, उम्मीद क्या है इस सरकार से, ये जानना जरूरी है। अगर ये बिना जाने आप कार्यक्रम प्रस्तुत नहीं कर सकते, उनमें कमियां क्या क्या है, सारी चीज़ों पर परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें निर्देश दी। और आज उन्होंने भी उल्लेख की है 700 से अधिक समय, more than 700 times the Union Minister have visited Northeast, spent night talking to the people in all walks of life. They have spent their time and collected their views, opinion, suggestion, and their resentment, and ultimately this has all been put together and going through deep study and research, and ultimately sought out the action plan, and which has ultimately come in the form of connectivity and communication. चाहे एयर कम्युनिकेशन हो, चाहे डिजिटल कम्युनिकेशन हो, चाहे वाटरवेज का हो, चाहे रोड का हो, चाहे रेलवे का हो, इन हर मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन पर आज जिस हिसाब से विकास हुई है, जो शक्तिशाली परिवर्तन हुई है, इसके वजह से आज नॉर्थ ईस्ट ने अपना शक्ति दिखाने का काम की है। तो इसलिए मैं तो हमेशा कहता हूँ दिल से, प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब ने सिर्फ सड़क से हमारे नॉर्थ ईस्टर्नों का साथ रिश्ता नहीं जोड़ा, दिल से जोड़ा है। सो दैट इज व्हाई he is not only the popular of India, but also he is the popular across the world. So I believe आज मुझे ये बात बताते हुए बहुत आनंद महसूस होते हैं कि परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास के लिए जो पिछली सरकार ने कभी भी देखे नहीं, अध्ययन भी नहीं किया, और इसमें बसा हुआ शक्ति, संपदा और संभावना को उजागर करने के लिए कोई उन्होंने सोच नहीं डाला। वही सेक्टर है वाटरवेज। किसी जमाने में आप सबको मालूम है, दिस वाज द ओनली मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, वाटरवेज, सारे मानव समाज के लिए। उसी शक्ति भरा एक इलाका को जब अपने परियोजना के सिलसिले में उसको इस कार्यक्रम में अगर किसी ने नहीं डाला तो ये समाज आगे नहीं जा सकते। तो इसलिए परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने नॉर्थ ईस्ट में राष्ट्रीय जलमार्ग को बढ़ावा दी और आज 20 से अधिक हमारा नेशनल वाटरवेज नॉर्थ ईस्ट में उसको मान्यता दी गई है, और इनमें से अधिकतर वाटरवेज को विशेष रूप से अपने कार्यक्रम की गतिविधियों को बढ़ाने के लिए अलग अलग कदम उठाया गया है। टर्मिनल, जेटी और इंटीग्रेटेड कस्टम्स, इमिग्रेशन और वाटरवेज का दफ्तर भी वहाँ खोले गए हैं। और साथ साथ में हमारी नॉर्थ ईस्ट की जो नई जवान है, हमारे युवा है, विद्यार्थी है, वो भी इस सेक्टर में क्या क्या हमें सीखना चाहिए, और कोई जहाज को ऑपरेट करने के लिए चाहे सागर में हो चाहे नदी में हो, हमको क्या क्या शिक्षा चाहिए, इस विषय पर भी नॉर्थ ईस्ट में परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन से नॉर्थ ईस्ट की डेवलपमेंट फॉर सी फेयर्स के सिलसिले में उसको कार्यकाल शुरू की, और इसकी वजह से आज कई 500 से अधिक हमें नॉर्थ ईस्ट के अलग अलग प्रदेश की बच्चों को हमने इस सेक्टर में स्किल दी, और इसकी वजह से आज उनको भी रोजगार मिली है। तो मैं तो चाहूँगा कि यहाँ जितना भी हमारे स्टेक होल्डर्स है, बिजनेसमैन है, ट्रेडर्स है, जो एक्सपोर्टर इंपोर्टर है, आप भी इस राष्ट्रीय जलमार्ग का सही उपलब्धि आप हासिल कीजिए, क्योंकि जब तक आप सिर्फ रोडवेज और रेलवेज पर ध्यान देते रहेंगे तब तक जलमार्ग की शक्ति के बारे में आपका उपलब्धि नहीं जाग उठे। तो इसलिए मैं चाहता हूं कि आप हमारी नई जो कार्यक्रम है जलवाहक स्कीम, जलवाहक स्कीम के जरिए हम चाहते हैं गंगा हो या ब्रह्मपुत्र हो, यहाँ हमारे अधिक हमारे जो व्यापारी है, जो ट्रांसपोर्टर है, वो भी हमारे जलमार्ग को सही उपयोग करे, ताकि सस्ते में एक प्रांत से दूसरे प्रांत तक आप सामान ले जा सकते हैं। और इससे सिर्फ किसानों का ही नहीं, व्यापारियों का भी लाभ होगा, और ये इको फ्रेंडली मूवमेंट है, सिमलेस मूवमेंट है और कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव मूवमेंट है। तो इन चीज़ों को आज विश्व ने विशेष रूप से मान्यता दी है, और इसकी वजह से हमारा मंत्रालय, आप सबको ये मालूम है, 90% बाय वॉल्यूम, 70% बाय वैल्यू हम एक्जिम कार्गो हैंडल करते हैं। We are the largest transporter in the country, but particularly this was confined to ocean, this was confined to the coastal, but it has never been concentrated in the national waterways. But Honorable Prime Minister has given all these three verticals equal importance. As a result, now India is emerging one of the leading maritime nation in the world. So this is helping our economy to grow faster. आप सबको शायद इस विषय पर कितने लोग हैं मैं जानना चाहता हूं, इस सेक्टर में किसी का कोई मतलब, हाँ आप लोग हैं, और कोई है स्टेक होल्डर्स जो इस सेक्टर में शामिल है? ठीक है, तो आप लोगों को शायद आप लोग समझा दीजिएगा, हाँ, क्योंकि ये व्यापारियों के लिए भी एक मुझे लगता है कि एक सुनहरा मौका है, क्योंकि आज गंगा नेशनल वाटरवेज 1, नेशनल वाटरवेज 2, ब्रह्मपुत्र 16, Barak, and connecting with the Bay of Bengal through the protocol route of Bangladesh. And also, we are developing one very, very important port, that is India-Myanmar Friendship Project, Situate. And Situate port has already become operational from Calcutta, Haldia to Situate. All the cargo ship movement has already started. So this particular port is connected to India through Mizoram. And Mizoram, distance from Mizoram to Calcutta will be shortened by another 500 kilometers when this particular port will be accessible to the entire northern states. So this is how the distance can be minimized, and also the this thing kind of cargo transportation costs will also be minimized, because Honorable Prime Minister has given a target to us that the transportation costs, logistic costs should be brought down from double digit to single digit, from 14 to 8. So this is what National Waterways is doing now, coastal shipping is doing now, and Exim Cargo is doing now. So I believe in this sector, you could also take the advantage. And from Northeast, I believe this particular waterways should be properly utilized by all the stakeholders, whatever product we have in Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, any part of the Northeast, these products should be transported through the waterways. Once upon a time during the British regime, you all know, from Dibrugarh was the key port, and from there, all the product from Northeast, particularly petroleum product, coal, timbers, and tea, that has been transported from Dibrugarh port to Haldia, and then it was transported to the rest part of the world. So this is how the export-import had been operated. And I believe Northeast, from that point of view, now we are attached with the ASEANs and also BBIN families. So this is a big family. And I was just asking the honorable gentleman. So he was telling me the total size of the population of the ASEAN countries, altogether 10 countries, goes 67 crores. And if you combine with the BBI, it goes up to 80 crores plus. It's a huge market for any kind of producer. And we should take the advantage of this market. And in the sector of, today, as Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned, that Hill in India, that is the medical travel tourism. How it can be made more attractive. So if we could create that ecosystem of the quality treatment, quality doctors, quality nursing, quality medical colleges, quality hospital, and definitely we could create this ecosystem of Hill in India. यानी कि विदेश से जो भी लोग आएंगे चिकित्सा के लिए, इनके लिए हम ऐसा व्यवस्था खड़ा करेंगे ताकि वो हमारी नॉर्थ ईस्ट में आने के लिए वो पसंद करे और यहाँ वो इलाज होके अपने देश में हमारे नॉर्थ ईस्ट की चिकित्सा विज्ञान को गुणगान करे. उसी हिसाब से ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन हो या मॉडर्न मेडिसिन हो, दोनों सिस्टम को इंटीग्रेट करके नॉर्थ ईस्ट को हम चाहते हैं कि दुनिया के एक बड़े मेडिकल ट्रैवल टूरिज्म के हिसाब से उसको खड़ा करे. वो शक्ति हमारा पास है, क्योंकि आप कुछ दिन पहले मैं सिंगापुर गया था, तो वहाँ नॉर्थ ईस्ट के कई नर्स को मिले. तो वहाँ की जो भी लोग हैं, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, सब कोई नॉर्थ ईस्ट की नर्सिंग के सिलसिले में बहुत गुणगान किया. और उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट से जो भी हमारे गर्ल्स आए हैं, उन लोगों का क्वालिटी सर्विसेज हमेशा प्रेस वर्दी. This is the level of service that North-Easterner could provide to the rest part of the world. That is why our situation day by day is growing as one of the most demanding situation. And I believe this is how we could create the center of attraction for the entire Northeast to the rest part of the world. I believe this is where we could develop our connectivity for our better economic growth and growth of our personality as a whole. Because once the people is identified as the quality human resource, then they can always be demanded everywhere in the world. So that's the situation we are to create. And Northeast is blessed with better biodiversity, flora and fauna. And this is also the natural advantage we are getting. And I believe from that point of view, if we all put our effort and also develop our planning and strategy and also the program, I am confident that this Northeast can contribute a huge sizable number of economy to the faster growth of the nations. And with this, I hope that today, particularly in this session, I was asked to talk about the kind of infrastructure. And as you know, it has also been, since morning, this was all been discussed factually. What is the total amount of money has been put into this particular sector, and how railway connectivity, airways connectivity, airport is increasing, and also other infrastructure like medical facilities, and also the institution of management, institution of technology, all kind of, infrastructure is growing faster in the Northeast. As a result, the investor from outside, today I have seen two biggest houses of our Indian companies, they have been expressing their willingness to invest in Northeast because of this particular situation. Earlier, 10 years back, no one was interested to invest in Northeast because there is a lack of infrastructure, connectivity, and communication. Now, as the situation has come up with quality existence, quality growth, and as a result, people from different parts, they are willing to put their effort, willing to stay in Northeast, and also the footfall of the tourist movement in Kaziranga, whatever has been recorded, it is very, very encouraging. So that reflects how Northeast is growing to draw the attention of the domestic and international tourists to the entire region. So I believe this is how we'll have to grow. And I believe in all the verticals of human activities, if we all put together, then definitely we cannot keep ourselves behind, and we'll have to take the center stage to focus our ability and wisdom and also performing an aspect. So with these few words, should I conclude? My time is over, I believe. तो मुझे शायद जो भी समय दी गए थे, तो मैं इतना ही कहूँगा कि आज मैं यूनियन जो गवर्नमेंट में हूँ, परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो भी मुझे मौका दी है, तो इसके लिए मैं आभारी हूँ। और नॉर्थ ईस्ट विशेष रूप से उनके विकास के लिए ख्याल रखने के लिए जो मंत्री नियुक्त की गई है ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया जी, मैं विशेष रूप से धन्यवाद देता हूँ। और सुकांत मजूमदार जी, दोनों ने आज जिस हिसाब से आप लोगों का साथ मिलकर इस कार्यक्रम को बढ़िया एक मात्रा दी है, और इस कार्यक्रम के जरिए इन्वेस्टर का जो भी एक मनोबल बढ़ाया है, तो मुझे लगता है कि निश्चित रूप से इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा। कुछ दिन पहले हमारे आसाम में भी इन्वेस्टर समिट हुई थी, वहाँ भी मैंने देखा 5 लाख करोड़ से ज़्यादा इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए कई इंडस्ट्रियल हाउस ने अपनी मत व्यक्त की है। तो मुझे लगता है कि आप वो इकोसिस्टम बन चुका है मेघालय। अब मेघालय का चीफ मिनिस्टर बैठा है, मेघालय में जो आपको वाटर बॉडी है, लेक है, इतना खूबसूरत है। शायद मुझे लगता है कि ये एशिया में बहुत खूबसूरत वाटर बॉडी होंगे, लेक होंगे। तो उनमें कितना पोटेंशियलिटी है, तो इनको आप अनुमान नहीं कर सकते जब तक आप खुद नहीं देखेंगे। तो इसलिए भगवान ने अपने हाथों से नॉर्थ ईस्ट को सजाया है, और नॉर्थ ईस्ट का मतलब है जहाँ से सूर्योदय होता है, और वहीं से मुझे लगता है कि सभी सद्भावना, सकारात्मक और शक्ति निश्चित रूप से मानव समाज को मिलता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि ऐसा एक इलाका है जिस इलाका के बारे में परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है ये अष्टलक्ष्मी है। मुझे लगता है उनकी दिल के गहराई से ये उपलब्धि उन्होंने व्यक्त किया है। अष्टलक्ष्मी का मतलब है वहाँ खजाना और अमानत भरा हुआ है। तो मुझे लगता है कि इन खजानाओं को हम कैसे हमारे मानव समाज और राष्ट्र विकास के लिए हम उसको उपयोग करें सही दिशा पर, इन पर हमें अपना विजडम, अपना स्किल, अपना इनोवेशन, अपना नई प्रयुक्ति इस्तेमाल करके हमें अगले दिनों में परियोजना प्रस्तुत करना होगा। उसको गुड गवर्नेंस के जरिए जैसे लागू की गई है उसी हिसाब से हमको लागू करना होगा। तो मुझे लगता है कि हर नॉर्थ ईस्टर्नर को अगले दिनों में हमारे भारत को दुनिया का एक बड़े शक्तिशाली विकसित राष्ट्र बनाने के सिलसिले में, आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने में हमारा एक बहुत बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण योगदान होगा। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your encouraging words. And now we'll start the panel discussion, and we have. Okay, sir. Now we'll start the panel discussion, and we have three very distinguished panelists today. Our first panelist will be Mr. Baldev Purushartha, who is the Joint Secretary in the Department of Economic Affairs, who looks after the infrastructure and also the private sector investment and participation. Second speaker will be Mr. Takeuchi Takuro, Chief Representative of JICA India, who has a long experience in the development sector, not only in India, but also in many other countries. And third speaker will be Mr. Abhijit Barua, who represents the Assam Air Products Private Limited, who will be giving us the flavor from the private sector and the viewpoint from the private sector. So first speaker, I will now request Mr. Baldev Purushartha to pose some question to him, and we would like to hear from him on these topics, that how does the government of India facilitate the financing of infrastructure development in the northeastern region, and how the government engagements help create opportunities for the private sector, because these two aspects are equally important, and we would like to hear from the Joint Secretary. Over to you.
Thank you very much. It's my, of course, Honorable Chief Minister Meghalaya, Sri Konark Sangmaji, dignitaries on the dais, respected participants. It's my honor to discuss in this panel, esteemed panel, on an issue which is very dear to me, because I have served in Tripura and I have extensively seen almost all the states in Northeast. Northeast is very close to my heart. And before coming to this question, I think the problem starts when we pose questions like this. What is government doing? Why? Because in a sense, it puts all the responsibility on the government. And in a sense, it is acceptance of the fact that Northeast can only develop if government is willing to develop it. Unfortunately, that is not true. Rather, we should ask that what can be done? What should be done? And of course, in doing so, everyone has to chip in, be it Government of India, be it state government, be it private sector, be it any other participants and stakeholder. So the issue is, what can be done to unlock capital flow to the infrastructure development of Northeast? And it gives me immense pleasure to say that Northeast of today is not Northeast of what we traditionally used to think of. And if I compare Northeast, which I saw 2 decades back, and Northeast of today, there is a sea change. And on many fronts, you can see this change. One is, of course, indicated by Honorable Chief Minister, that Northeast growth rate is far more than the growth rate of the country. There could be a number of reasons why it is happening, but the fact is that it is growing at a faster rate than India. And that gives me enough faith in the potential of Northeast. And if you club it together with the various other opportunities available, like Northeast is poised at a juncture, whether on the one hand, it is gateway to Southeast Asian countries, and on the other hand, it is also catering to the rest of the country. So it is which is indicated by Honorable Minister, Union Minister. Northeast is sharing border with 5 Southeast Asian countries. That itself is a big thing. It's a virgin land. It's untouched land. It's a land with, nature's bounty. There's so many plus points Northeast is having. But why still we think in terms of how to develop that Northeast? Because we have failed to reap those potentials, failed to exploit all the opportunities available to the fullest. And now the question is, how can we do it? And to do so, infrastructure development is paramount. We all understand that infrastructure is extremely important for economic growth. On the one hand, it helps in egalitarian development, equitable distribution, economic growth. On the other hand, infrastructure availability brings down the cost of business. And therefore, you cannot think of having business in a place where there is no infrastructure at all. And that is why we are unable to have a large export sector, large agriculture-based industry, large tourism-based industry in Northeast, which Northeast is having immense potential of. And if I talk only in terms of data-based language, expenditure on infrastructure gives you return of 2.45 in short to medium term. In long term, it's more than that. Whereas expenditure on revenue probably fetch you only 0.99. So expenditure on infrastructure is always a prudent decision. But that cannot be done only by government. If you see in last decade, and especially after COVID, government has taken substantial steps in promoting infrastructure in India, including Northeast. Be it the National Infrastructure Pipeline, be it more than 35% year-on-year growth in terms of expenditure capital push. What we were spending in 2009 and in 2019 in entire year, that amount we have spent in 22-23 FY in 1 quarter. So you can see the capital expenditure as far as infrastructure development is concerned. But that alone is not sufficient. No government in the world can take care of the entire infrastructure need of any country or for any particular area of that country. It has to be a combination of public investment plus private investment. So now the question is that what we can do to channelize more and more private investment into Northeast. And that can happen with a variety of instruments and ways. For example, can we promote PPP in Northeast? While I understand what Honorable CM has said, that the large ticket projects, because Northeast, I understand that development is a little costly, because right now the connectivity is not developed to that level. So what we can do with the same amount of money in other parts of the country, probably Northeast will require more. But having said that, ultimately, the private capital comes not for the size of the project, but it comes for the viability of the project. And viability or bankability of the project depends on how you structure the project. In whichever way you have de-risked the project, in which way you have given a stable, standardized and disciplined policy regime to the investors. No investor is coming to an area where these things are lacking. And therefore, when we talk of infrastructure development, we have to find out a way where we can come up, in addition to what Government of India is spending and pushing capital infusion into Northeast infrastructure development, we have to find out ways of developing infrastructure in a manner which is bankable and viable, which includes blended financing. You can club capital which is coming through EAP, through multilaterals, or through government initiatives, along with the private capital, to enhance the viability and bankability of the project. You can structure a project in a way where with viability gap funding or through other support mechanism, the viability of the project can be enhanced. And it could happen in any project, be it connectivity, road, port, airport, of course it's not possible, airport, railways, social infra. We have recently done 4 medical colleges in Odisha. Those colleges, hospitals in Odisha, those hospitals in Odisha all have been taken in underdeveloped hilly areas. Very probably similar to northeastern region. And those projects have been bidded out in PPP mode successfully. Financial close has happened, the concessionaire has come in, and the project has started, and it has gone into construction phase. Can we do it same for Northeast? Probably yes. We are working on one project in Arunachal, in Namsai, where a medical college and the district hospital is developed in a PPP mode, where a private party will come in, he will set up a medical college, he will develop the district hospital for existing 100-bed to 300 or 400-bedded hospital. He will provide the secondary or tertiary care level services there without any expenditure from the government. So there could be n number of examples. The idea is somebody should be there, some specialized entity, to think of these projects and then to work on structuring and bringing these projects to market. And I understand that given the small size of northeastern state, probably one such entity may not be feasible for every state, but can we do it at a donor level? A PMU like or the PPP development cell kind of entity along with a financial intermediary which can take infrastructure projects from northeastern state, structure it, develop it, do some kind of marketing, road shows, have stakeholder consultations, bring the requisite viability and bankability into it, and therefore channelize private capital into northeast. Secondly, the policy regime which we have already discussed, I mean, no one can deny that you require a stable policy regime. And government can give you a stable policy regime, but there are things which are beyond a stable policy regime. And that requires the effort on the part of officers, the part of departments, the part of ministries, the part of stakeholders who are down below. A large number of infrastructure projects are suffering, failing, not getting the optimal result because either they are not getting land in time or they are not getting clearances in time. For clearances, a private sector guy or entity is running from pillar to post. He runs to every office to get clearance. And even if we are claiming, and I am not taking names, but every one of us are claiming that we have developed a single window system. But are those single window systems working perfectly? When we are saying that we will give clearances at one window, say in 15 days, are we giving those clearances in 15 days? When we are saying that I will provide you land by, say, financial close, are we honoring our condition precedents? If we are not doing that, then what will happen? That the cost of the project will go up because of the inflation, because of the delay, because of the time overrun. And these things are there where the government at a higher level is not responsible, neither it is, it is supposed to work on that. The ministries, the departments, the government offices at municipal corporation level, at Tahsildar level, at revenue office level, at various ministerial level, those offices and officers there are supposed to ensure that whatever commitment the government has done, they have to honor that commitment. Then the third very important point in any infrastructure project development is having a robust dispute resolution system. Sometimes we fail to understand the value of it, but it is very easy to fail an infrastructure project but it is very, very difficult to implement an infrastructure project. If we do not have our mindset of treating private sector as our partners. After all, PPP is what? Public-private partnership. It's a partnership. It's not a master and vendor relationship. But generally, the habit is that we treat them as our vendors. Until unless we treat private sector as our partners and ready to understand their issues, problems, and with a mindset, positive mindset to resolve those issues, which help project not going into a dispute phase, going to arbitration, then things will start happening at a much more faster rate. So in today's world, I would say money is not a problem. Money is there. The main issue is, are we capable enough to attract that money? And that requires capacity building initiative. Government of India has taken capacity building initiative in a big way. Capacity building commission has been there. They are training people, identifying the capacity building needs. We in DEA have started capacity building initiative for infrastructure based capacity building. And we are training people across the country from various offices. And I'm happy to say that we have trained a lot of Northeastern officers for capacity building so that they can understand the nuances of developing infrastructure projects, especially PPP projects, especially projects which invite private investment, channelizing capital to come into Northeast. But it is for the Northeast, be it the officers, be it the decision maker level, be it the other stakeholder participants, to ensure that you are offering better value proposition to private sector vis-a-vis other part of the country. And there are ways of doing it. In a seminar like this, it is not enough time to explain and discuss everything. But I can say that we can very well do it. And with the potential Northeast is offering and the kind of government support, I can say recently we have approved a number of PPP projects in Northeast. Things are doing well, substantial size projects, projects worth more than 20,000 crore rupees. But at the same time, I'll give you one data point. We approved 3 projects in Northeastern states on VGF support. And we gave in principle approval. And sir, none of the project came back for final approval. That states failed to develop those projects. Right now, one of those projects we supported again, and it is coming, which I discussed, Namsai Medical College in Arunachal Pradesh, and probably that would be a successful project. But there are potential for many more such projects in Northeast. And with that, I'll end my preliminary remarks. I think Northeast is going to be the new aspirational India within aspirational India. And our Honorable PM has said, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai, Bharat ka anmol samay hai. It is all the more true for Northeast. And I am very hopeful that Northeast of tomorrow will compete not only with the Indian level of development, which we are having today, but also with the level of development which we are witnessing in the world at large, with the neighboring country like Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and many other countries. Why not? We should aspire for that. After all, there is everything. Good human resources, good natural resources. And the recent thing, the hydrocarbon potential. Immense hydrocarbon potential in that sector. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joint Secretary DEA, Mr. Baldev Purushartha, for touching upon a very important part, that is how to unlock the private capital for the Northeast. Now our next speaker is the Chief Representative of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Mr. Takeuchi Takuro. Takuro-san, I would like to hear from you the exposure of JICA in the Northeastern region and how you are engaging with the Northeastern states for its development. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Takuro Takeuchi. I'm the Chief Representative of the JICA India office. And thank you very much for giving me this precious opportunity to make a presentation here. I'm very briefly, so make a presentation. So beforehand, JICA is a Japanese government agency, so that implements Japanese official development assistance. So in one word, so I'd like to, how to say, tell you the message. So now I'm feeling, so Northeast region is taking off now. So this is, how to say, very important message, and I would like this summit will so send this message, not limited in India, so beyond India, across the world, so we'd like to contribute to this, sending this message. So again, so now Northeast region is taking off now. And I'm going to touch upon two things. So one is snapshot of our cooperation in Northeastern states, and two is the direction of our cooperation for rising Northeast in India. First, snapshot. So over the past 10 years, JICA has implemented 17 infrastructure and social development projects, so totaling Indian rupee 212.3 billion. And so one of the major sectors we are contributing is road. So JICA has contributed to the completion of 500 kilometer and 350 kilometer projects in progress. And second is health. So projects are underway to develop core tertiary care hospitals in 3 of the 8 states and contribute to the increased patient intake capacity of 1.1 lakh in Nagaland, Assam, and Mizoram. And forestry. Approximately 2.1 lakh hectare afforestation is underway, and so these activities increase the livelihood of approximately 2 lakh beneficiaries, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Sikkim. We also support several person-to-person exchange activities in the region, including capacity building program for State Disaster Management Authority of Northeastern region. They are currently visiting Japan. And second topic, direction of cooperation for rising Northeast India. There are 3 pillars for us. So first pillar is to help promote more investment towards the region. We are particularly interested in the strong development of the Assam semiconductor ecosystem. We think that the expertise of Japanese company is crucial for the development of semiconductor supply chain in Assam. In order to provide assurance to Japanese company to invest there, we are currently considering possibilities to support the creation of the comprehensive investment climate. Second pillar is demonstrate progress in robust infrastructure development in Northeastern region. So infrastructure development, again, in the Northeast region is not straightforward. There are several ethnic groups, cultures, and ecosystems that demand more careful consideration and coordination in developing infrastructure. Our goal is to consistently collaborate with the strong Indian government initiatives and also Indian private sector to demonstrate a solid track record of steady infrastructure development in the region. Thereby, we aim to be able to send positive signals to stakeholders interested in the Northeast region. And finally, final pillar of us is human resource development. Human resource development is essential for promoting various sectors. JICA will seek meaningful opportunities to collaborate on human resource development in the region by combining our global experience and also professional networks in higher education and vocational training, including semiconductor production, human resource development, and other areas. So thank you very much. This is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Takuro-san. So in this panel, our last speaker will bring in the perspective of the private sector, Mr. Abhijit Barua from Assam Air Products Private Limited. So he will be focusing on how private sector capital and expertise be leveraged to accelerate infrastructure build out in the states in the Northeast. And apart from infrastructure focus, what are the other measures that will be required for attracting private sector investment for the states? Over to you, Mr. Barua.
Thank you, Mr. Soimo. My fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. The topic today is the infrastructure development and for the Northeast, which is, of course, the most important necessity for the Northeast, and is also where the maximum opportunity lies. The Northeast is relatively backward in infrastructure. Our roads are, even the national highways are mostly 2-lane. Our railway network is much below what it should be, considering that almost 9% of the landmass of India is in the Northeast. In the power, the lost electricity that we lose on transmission and distribution is nearly 28%, whereas the national average is less than 20%. And in every area of infrastructure, Northeast is lacking, and therefore there is a need for developing infrastructure, and infrastructure cannot develop unless we have finance for that. Now, infrastructure development finance is a different cup of tea compared with industrial financing or many other types of financing like retail financing. The infrastructure projects are typically very, very large, and they have long gestation time. It may take 5, 7, 8 years for an infrastructure project to complete, and then the paybacks are slow. Therefore, currently, what we are seeing is that in India, it is mostly the government which is driving infrastructure sector. And the government has invested heavily in infrastructure. As per the data available, the government spending on infrastructure has doubled from financial year 21 to financial year 24. But still, the other players who are typically big financiers of investment projects all over the world are not venturing much. For example, the insurance sector, the insurance companies, the pension funds contribute only about 6% of the infrastructure finance of the country, whereas in many developed countries, they contribute as much as 50%. Now, this is where there is an opportunity for the private sector to come in. And the private sector is welcome not only for the finance, but also because of the knowledge and the expertise they bring with it. The big financiers who have been involved with many infrastructure projects in the past have the knowledge which they can bring in, which will ensure that the projects get completed in time and the projects deliver maximum value at the earliest time. At the same time, we cannot expect the private sector only to take care of the infrastructure needs, because the private sector typically goes for quicker return. And therefore, even if there is private financing, it has to be coupled together with government or institutional financing. Now, in this case, what we are seeing is that, like in almost every other sector, we need to do something special about the Northeast. Because if we just follow the other policies, usually we do not get the desired results. It is always, the Northeast has always been getting some privileges, and not just privileges, but special focus which is very much needed if we want to speed up infrastructure development. And therefore, I feel, and I would strongly urge, that there should be a specialized agency for infrastructure financing that will operate within the Northeast and which will also attract financing, private financing. Now, this kind of a institution or a body may be formed naturally with the involvement of Government of India, the state governments of the region, multilateral agencies, foreign agencies. If we have a body that is owned by a group of institutions and government that will spearhead the infrastructure projects in the Northeast, I think we will definitely see some good progress in a short time. And in this case, I would also like to suggest that we have this MDONER, the ministry, and there is a financing agency under this, that is the NETFI. NETFI is a specialized agency that has been working in the Northeast to arrange finance primarily for industrial projects. But unfortunately, its volume, the scale is relatively small. As on today, the maximum funding that NETFI does is 40 crore for an individual borrower and 80 crore for a group of, for the same promoter group companies. But when we talk about infrastructure financing, we talk about minimum, say, 500 crore. So therefore, this body, this institution that is already existing may be upgraded, or it may be the anchor promoter of a new body where NETFI may use its own expertise of working and financing in the Northeast for last 25 years. And there is also the question comes that from where will NETFI get the funds to finance big amounts? Now, I have a proposal for that. I don't know whether we can deliberate upon it. See, in case of Government of India, there is a scheme whereby, not a scheme, but a policy, whereby every ministry has to spend 10% of its funding in the Northeast. And if any ministry does not do that, it has to surrender the unspent amount which comes to the donor ministry, and then they in turn take up projects. Now, what has happened because of this policy is that over the last few years, all the ministries are now spending 10% money on the Northeast because they know that they have to do it, otherwise it will just lapse and go. So this is a very good way of motivating ministries to spend money in the Northeast. Something similar on that line I have in mind. In the banking sector, there is something called the priority sector banking. Now, every bank operating in India has to compulsorily lend to a priority sector that consists of agriculture, small-scale industry, etc. And many a time, these banks fail to do that kind of lending. Now, can the government come up with a proposal whereby it says that, okay, any bank that is unable to spend its stipulated amount for financing have to park the fund with NETFI, maybe getting an interest of 5% per annum, and the NETFI in turn will deploy these funds for infrastructure projects, maybe at 7%, something like that. So it will have around 2-3% of cushion to play around with. So this is a situation whereby we can use the expertise of an existing institution that has 25 years of experience of doing good job in the Northeast. And at the same time, we can channelize bank finance into this sector, which is very much needed, and is also outside the balance sheet of the government, because how much can we expect the government to do as one of the speakers before me already said, that we all look at the government to do things, but the government also has its limitations. So maybe this kind of a this kind of a thinking can come, whereby the bank finances may be channelized into the Northeast. Now, other enabling environments and are the regulations. Number one, already previous speakers have elaborated. The regulations, the dispute resolution mechanisms are all very important. But I think in those cases, it is more or less we are on the same ground as the rest of the India, and maybe nothing special needs to be done. So with these, I think we are almost coming to an end of our discussions, panel discussions today. So I hope I have been able to contribute something to you and give some ideas and some perspectives about how to channelize private sector investment into the infrastructure of Northeast. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barua, for your brief but very forceful and effective intervention. Now I will open the floor for a question. If there is any question from the audience for the speakers, or we'll try to address them. Yeah, the gentleman sitting on the front row. Yes, please. If you could introduce yourself and then pose the question.
Of course, Chattopadhyay Sahab, I will introduce. This is Upendra Singh, Executive Vice President to BBCF Chamber of Commerce. So I'll take up in brief the one question. I'm quite satisfied from Barwa Sahab. Already recommended the integrated one nodal agency, maybe the workout from in the same line that I will add. And this is also the question to Mr. Tokiro. I have worked with your senior as well. You know, Mr. Furkawa and Mr. Koshihara. And I recommended the Nakala Port, the interventions long